Yeah, let's talk about it. It happened on Black Friday. You may have missed it. You probably went shopping, obviously for the discount. I don't blame you. Okay, and you probably missed the game. You probably was on that long line at Best Buy trying to get you Madden 25 like I was, but I still was watching a little bit of the game on my phone on the line. You probably was with your mama. You probably was with your family. You probably was traveling. You probably was in a plane or a car, and you probably missed the broad daylight robbery that was this game. And it is what it is. At least you didn't have to witness a crime. Because did the referees save the Chiefs with the late call versus the Raiders? And Zach, I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of having the same debate and nobody hearing me. I'm speaking too much, but nobody's listening. And I hate that. I get it. There could be takes that I spill on the show that can fly over your heads every once in a while. I get it. You wasn't ready. You wasn't ready for it. I get it. But when I hammer down a take that I want people to hear me, okay, and you're not listening at all, it's going in one ear, coming out the other, I have a problem with that because it's evident. All right. Now, I want to talk about the last sequence in a minute. I did watch a little bit of the game sporadically because there was a lot of movement going on. Salute to Aidan O'Connell. From what I saw, he looked way more confident than I've ever seen him. And I remember a couple years ago when they played the Chiefs on the road, Antonio Pierce did not trust his quarterback. They ran the ball.
Year. Not
that was last year. Yeah, last year. My fault. Last year, and they hand the ball off. It almost reminded me of Bill Belichick in the cold against Buffalo. Just hand the ball off, and we won our way to a victory. That's what he did last year. This year, Aidan O'Connell was pushing the ball down the field. Brock Bowers was making plays. Clearly, a phenom at tight end in the making. And they gave themselves a golden opportunity to steal the game, but the referee stole it. And that last sequence was a disaster. Obviously, there is a level of self-accountability. I'm very big on that. So you do have to look in the mirror and focus on what you can control, which is obviously not making a dumb penalty happen in that situation where clearly you in field goal range and in range to win a game against your rival, basically the Super Bowl of your season, right? But clearly that should have been it could have been either a false start or a legal formation. They called it a legal formation, but clearly there was a whistle that the play was blown dead, and the Chiefs was able to recover the football and win the game. I've seen it too many times. I'm not hating on greatness, but the Chiefs are a lucky football team. They are, and it is what it is. I mean, you talked about it on the show in the Super Bowl in overtime. Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't know, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't know the rules of the new overtime. Okay. Yeah, that's on Kyle Shanahan. Okay. That's his problem. I don't know why these fluky things continue to happen with the Chiefs. I don't know why they continue to benefit from calls. But you know what? I'm happy. With all that being said, I'm happy because we're going to see come January how fraudulent of a team this team is. So let them keep winning. Let everybody get blinded by the fact that they were 10 or 11-1. Oh, yeah, let them keep winning. Let them keep getting calls, all right, by the referees. Maybe they'll continue to get them in January, right? But if the game is called correctly, one of these games in January, they're going to get exposed, okay, from a team that's going to play disciplined football enough to expose these cats and how this is the worst Chiefs team in the Mahomes era. Their defense is not how it was last year. Clearly, Aidan O'Connell carved them up like steak, like a steak dinner, okay, like a turkey, more so, right, because of the time, right? I mean, bro, Knicks carved them up like steak and turkey, okay? I mean, all these quarterbacks carved them up. Why are we not having that conversation? We still think this is an elite defense? I know they got Chris Jones. I know he could wreck a game and all that, but come on. Let's be honest. This team is not that great this year, and they're very vulnerable. And I get it. They were last year. What happened last year? Lamar Jackson went into his shell. What happened last year? Tyler Bass, he's ass. He couldn't make the kick. Stephon Diggs didn't want to be in Buffalo. Guess what? He's not in Buffalo. Okay? Well, this year is going to be different. This year, Josh Allen is nothing to play with. This year, Lamar Jackson, Well, I'm not even gonna go there, Zach. The mic is yours. I'm gonna stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Flashback.
What about Mike Tomlin? I know he has a pretty good playoff
Nah, I
history.
ain't gonna go there either. Haven't won a playoff game in 6 years. Buffalo or bust. I'll leave it like that.
Okay, so I'll start by saying this. With the call late, like, to be honest, I still don't know what happened. They called, you see the ref coming in from the side. He signals false start originally. They didn't really give us a great camera angle on what happened. All they showed was Powers Johnson snapping the ball. You see he's at center. The guard taps him. There was a clear miscommunication there. But honestly, I don't understand why Antonio Pierce even tried another play there. There's 13 seconds left. You're already in field goal range. Anything that could happen there is most likely going to be bad. So I thought Pierce had the Raiders ready to play. We know this is a rivalry game. We know what happened in the offseason at Raiders training camp when they had the doll mocking Mahomes. That still was pretty dumb. I don't know why they did that. But look, the Raiders, I thought they played a good game. And I agree with what you said about O'Connell. That was probably the best game I've seen him play as of late. But I'm just wondering, Will, to your point, like, it's hard for me to, I don't really know where I stand on the Chiefs right now because, look, even as someone who has believed in this team from the beginning, I will admit last year on Christmas Day, the game you're referencing, when the Raiders went into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, when Aidan O'Connell didn't even complete a pass in the fourth quarter. He didn't even do that, and the Raiders won that game, and the Chiefs offense looked dead. This team looked super vulnerable. And even me, someone who, even up until that point, like, the Chiefs had caught some tough breaks. You remember they lost that game to the Bills when Tony was offsides. They lose that game to the Eagles when MVS on Monday Night Football was wide open and he drops that pass. Even someone in my shoes who was a believer in the Chiefs up to that point was pretty concerned. Like, you can't beat the Raiders, a team you've dominated at home, in a primetime standalone game. And we saw what ended up happening in the playoffs. Now, I do think this team has some flaws. You mentioned some things on the defensive side of the ball. And honestly, I think that's their number one concern right now. And there are other things you could look at because the other big concern for this team right now is their left tackle play. Who is protecting Mahomes' blind side? You saw Wanya Morris start the game, and he just kept on getting cooked and cooked and cooked by Max Crosby. They said enough is enough, so they moved Joe Tooney, their guard, to left tackle, and they also they did bring in DJ Humphries, veteran offensive lineman. So there is some talk that he's going to get the opportunity to start this week in their next game on Sunday Night Football against the Chargers. And they're also hoping to get Hollywood Brown back soon, which I think could be a big factor for this offense. Also, Pacheco is back. So I think the offense is going to be fine. That is not really my number one concern with this team. It's really the defense. And my question is Steve Spagnuolo going to be able to continue what he's done in the last few playoffs, which is scheme up great game plans to really fluster Lamar Jackson and limit Josh Allen a little bit? I think that's what this is going to come down to because, look, I think the flaws with this team are fair. It is no guarantee that they're going to three-peat. But the thing is, I just don't think we should be having conversations like, oh, is this team the 2023 Eagles? Is this team the 2022 Vikings? Where, yeah, like, they're starting off hot, they're 11-1, but we all know it's a fluke. Like, no, it's not a fluke. This team finds a way to win. And the fact that they've won the last two Super Bowls, the fact that they're 11-1 right now, I think some of the conversation is getting a little bit overblown. Like, do you think this team is going to be one and done in the playoffs? Because I certainly don't. And I think they're going to be right there. But I will say there are some concerns that they have to figure out. However, there were last year, and they were able to figure them out. So, look, I think that by the time we get from now until the playoffs, I think we're going to learn a lot because, look, I think it's easy for the Chiefs to play in these games against the Panthers and a game like this against the Raiders. Although it was the Raiders Super Bowl, like, we know the Chiefs have really played well against this team. I don't think anyone should be particularly shocked by the result that the Chiefs, were messing around a little bit. It was a close game, but they still found a way to win. That's literally been every game this team has played for the last few weeks. But coming up, they have a primetime home game against the Chargers. Like, they're going to show up ready to play in this game. I'm confident. And if they don't, I'll be very concerned. They play the Steelers on Christmas. That's a huge game. Are they going to come ready to play in that game? They play the Texans on a holiday, I believe New Year's. Like, that's a big game. They play Denver again. We saw what happened the first time those two teams played. So I do think that we're going to learn a lot more about the Chiefs from now until the end of the season. And I think I'll have a better feel on them when we get to that time. And up until then, like, I just don't think anyone should be particularly shocked by these results. Like, obviously, they've accomplished so much. It's hard for them to get up for these games. And we've seen evidence of that over and over and over again. But I am confident that going forward, there are a few games that will tell me a lot on this team's schedule.
Yeah, I mean, so our guys, watching on Instagram, Raider Rookie Center is being paid by Andy Reid. I mean, the referees are getting paid too by Roger Goodell, clearly. And they're being told to make executive decisions, bro. You know, obviously that's he said, she said.
But like, do you really believe that? You really think Roger Goodell is like paying the refs to have them win?
At this point, bro, I don't put
you really believe
that past nothing. I don't.
But what do you believe? Like, do you believe that's happening or not?
If you really want to know the honest truth, I do.
So you think NFL games are getting rigged for the Chiefs? You're saying
I do, and I don't cap. I'm not a capper. Okay, I do. I'm starting to think that. I'm starting to think that because, look, in the NBA, what's a known fact was in the Jordan era, Jordan was benefiting from calls, and even referees came out and said that certain players got calls purposely and certain didn't. Remember the AI calls? That was a real thing. So I do believe that we are living in a time in which, a team that has a dynasty in the making like the Chiefs do, they're about to three-peat. They are trying to. They do get calls that other teams don't get, that players don't get. I've seen quarterbacks get hit, get decked. And I'm like, yo, if that was Mahomes, there would be a flag. That's a prime example. Get Mahomes a call. Don't give Jameis Winston, who got hit last night by Benito in the head, don't call that. But I bet you 100% if that was Patrick Mahomes, that would have been a flag all over. I'm not telling you nothing that's out of the realm of possibilities. That's true. And in this game, you had a bizarre sequence in which we didn't even get an explanation. To me, that's robbery. No explanation. Oh, they lost. Move on. The Raiders were done anyway. They're not winning anything anyway. So just move on. Forget about it. The Chiefs are that good. They're 11-1. Forget about it, right? But a couple weeks ago, Steve Spagnuolo calls a timeout. He doesn't have the authority to call a timeout. That's like the daggone freaking one of the Congress people saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to make the executive decision over the president that we're going to go to World War III. Okay? He doesn't have that authority. He or she doesn't have that authority. Steve Spagnuolo don't have that authority. But guess what? He gets granted a timeout when the referee forgot. That's your excuse. Oh, he forgot. He thought it was Andy Reid. Move on. Forget about it. They won. They're 11-1. No. It's time to highlight the professional bigotry that's going on in the NFL right now when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. If nobody going to do it, and everybody going to hide in their shell and ignore it, no, it's not happening. I don't see it. I'm going to be the one to do it. Because guess what? My name is Real Lil.
So I'll respond to that. I do think there have been, some instances where, sure, they've gotten some calls. There's no doubt about it. However, that's not necessarily something that's new. We know for a long time that the NFL has a huge officiating problem, not only when it comes to the Chiefs, but all around the league. And that's something they have to address. And I do think that, yes, you're right. There are some times where you see a quarterback like Jameis get hit. And if that was not only Mahomes, but if it was Lamar Jackson, if it was Josh Allen, if it was Joe Burrow, if it was any bigger level quarterback, then the outrage probably would have been bigger. Like, I honestly think, well, like, could you imagine if the hit that Trevor Lawrence took the other day, what if that was Mahomes? What if that was Allen? We would be leading the show with it today if they were out for the season.
He probably would have been crucified to the cross.
Right. So what I'm saying is, although what you're saying does have some merit, like, I just don't think it's only a Chiefs exclusive thing. Like, this happens all around the league, and it's a league problem that needs to be fixed. The same thing was happening. Like, it's not new. The same thing happened with Jordan and the Bulls, like you said, with Tom Brady and the Patriots, with Peyton Manning and the Broncos and the Colts. Like, all of the big name guys, yeah, they tend to get some calls. What I'm trying to wonder and spark this conversation with, Lil, is the Chiefs' issues. Are they going to end up costing them? And I'm not talking about the referees and do we think they're going to get bailed out? Do we think that this defense is really just a level off and we think this defense is going to cost them? Do we really think that their issue at left tackle or the injuries they suffered? We know Rashee Rice and how good and important he was. Like, do we think that there are teams in the AFC that's going to be able to take advantage of those factors like they haven't been able to do in years past and end up dethroning this team? Because I'm a little concerned about it. I'm not going to lie, But at the same time, I was concerned about it last year, and we saw what ended up happening.
I mean, it all comes down to what happens in January.
Let me ask you this: do you think they're going to get the 1 seed?
It depends. That's a very tough question because Buffalo's clearly on their behinds and they have the tiebreaker. And you listed their schedule, their upcoming schedule, the Chiefs, and it do look like they could lose a game or two. But then you have Buffalo, who may not win out. I expect us coming back on the show the next time we record and talk about the referees because it seemed like it happens on a consistent basis. It's almost as consistent as the game itself. So it is what it is. Even the Buccaneers game on Monday Night Football. Tristan Wirfs get called for a flag that really he didn't commit, and that stalled the drive with the Buccaneers with a lead. They were up 14-10, about to put up more points and score. And bogus holding call stalled the drive. It's really hard to predict. Well, it's not even hard to predict Chiefs games. It's easy, actually. It's the same script.
But obviously, hasn't that happened around the league, though? There have been so many, the Rams-Vikings game. You remember that Thursday night game when Sam Darnold got clearly hit in the face mask on the last play of the game, and that clearly altered the game and the result, but, we just forgot about it? It's obviously, I just think that's such a cop-out. It's going to depend on the refs.
I mean, it seems like a cop-out, but it's the reality. I mean, look what happened on Black Friday. Look what happened in certain games this year.
Do we have evidence that Black Friday call was really a blown call? Because we don't. We just saw, I don't know why we didn't see a replay, but I don't know if they blew that call.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.